Do you remember that long weekend in July when you went away to the lake? The way that the rain hung on the tree branches the morning after the storm, leaving that perfect smell of summer in the air. The way your feet felt when you rushed into the cool water after running across the sand. Do you remember the hat you wore, the smell of sunscreen, or the sounds of children laughing? Of course you do. How about the TV hanging on your cabin wall? You can't even picture it now, even though you paid extra for it. What you probably remember is the view looking out of the window next to it. How great it felt to relax by the fire before bed and stay up way too late talking about life. The places we experience are anticipated, they're enjoyed, and then they're remembered, creating values and emotions that last a lifetime.
I remember probably being, single digits, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, piling in my grandparents' car, no seat belts, 4 people in the front seat, driving out to Saugatuck, going to Oval Beach, and my mother making unbelievable, 3-foot-long sub sandwiches that we would eat. And
you would be on the beaches in the summer, go for hikes, go for drives, go snowshoeing.
We biked and played all the sports and did all that fun stuff. And then my family moved to northern Michigan. And I think that's where the real love for the outdoors kind of found its footing.
I was in California as a little kid, so anytime I go out there now and get a snoot full of sagebrush, I think, God, this is cool, I want to come back here. But I make about 3 days and I go, where's the water? And I think any Michigan native would say the same thing.
We shuttle tap water from our taps down to our kids who are at school because it just doesn't taste the same. And that's something you take for granted up here.
Nothing can really exist without water. How do you sum that up?
There's something about it that's part of you. I ended up moving to Arizona for a while and I got married, and it was the same thing with my wife. We had to get back to Marquette. Saying, what do we like about Marquette? Let's go to Flagstaff. It's a lot like Marquette. They have Northern Arizona University. I said, nope, we got to go back to the lake.
why is conservation so important? Why is conservation become a political issue when, by and large, you look at the scenery here, you go to the Great Lakes, issues like that shouldn't be political, it should be non-political.
If something happened to the water, I don't know if I'd want to be around it. And I don't think many other people would. It would just be a really, really sad reminder of the fail that we all did.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world without fresh water like that, especially our fresh water.
Whenever we would travel, people would be like, why in the world do you live in Michigan? You kind of got sick of answering that question. So like, nobody knows. And when we come back home, we wanted to make something to make everybody proud of where we're from, and something that embodies the amazing beauty and the people of this area. So that's M22.
It's up to everybody in this region, people around the water, the oil industry, everybody that's involved with that. It's everybody's responsibility to protect it.
Obviously, I think it's an innate thing that we want our children to experience what we were able to experience. Some of the younger generations, that the environment it's in their mind. When I was growing up, my parents never talked to us about it. Like, it didn't, we lived it because we lived in the woods, but we weren't educated on it. And the generations coming up, they care about the environment. They want to support businesses that have that behind them. They want to buy products that have a conscience.
We use a recycled paper with a post-consumer content that is milled on the East Coast. And then our printer in Ohio, they use all vegetable-based inks. So it makes our cards compostable and biodegradable because there's no petroleum products on there that are going to be left over once the card degrades. Compass Paper Company started as a way to scratch a creative itch when I worked in the outdoor industry in Utah. I was pretty cut off when I was out there, so I wrote a lot of cards to people. So I started making cards that reflected the kind of cards that I would want to receive. I had a card that I did about 3 years ago, and it said, "Let's go hiking, please." And it took off. Thinking that people are using this as a way to ask their friends to go outside is kind of, I don't know, it kind of sparked something.
I always joke that I kind of manifest these places and these scenes, or even like things. Like I've carved the 1979 bay window bus back in like 2010, and then I bought one last year and it looks just like the carving. And there's a lot of times that I'll like carve a really cool scene and I've never really seen it in person, and I'll be hiking and look up and be like, oh my God, that's the mosaic woodcut. Like there it is. Wusa itself is a meditative word that helps you relax when you say it out loud. And back in college, I started making art to relax, and nature was always my inspiration because it gave me that same feeling as making art. Nothing feels better than feeling like you're a part of something and not being left out. And I do think like nature does that for everybody, like you belong there. For me, nature has always been accessible, but I know that it's not that way for everybody. And for me, like growing up, I came out when I was 15, and I wouldn't say that it went well, and I turned to the trail. Like that's where I went to be with myself and to, get through that time. And I think that a lot of people probably have done that for various reasons. Being a young female entrepreneur and trying to start my own business and seeing people rally behind me from the beginning when I launched my first Kickstarter campaign, like I've experienced firsthand what community support feels like. So ever since then, we've been really making an effort to give back to causes that we really believe in. And so we partner with somebody in the community that we feel connected to, and then we throw a big event, and that day our proceeds go to that company.
I really look up to a lot of the small businesses in Michigan that have stuck it out here and that have turned their businesses into something great, but their communities into something better. It almost doesn't matter anymore what community you're in. There's some story to be told, somebody doing something special or unique. And if that doesn't get you excited or eager to dive back in and double back down, I don't know what will. Great Lakes Proud makes a sticker of the Great Lakes. It's simple. Today, it's probably one of the most iconic images and products, small products certainly, in the entire state or region. I had no idea it would get to the point that it's at. I had no idea that we'd have the impact that we've had. That was all a pipe dream. There's always been a giving component of Great Lakes Proud, and that goes hand in hand with the business growing too. What we want is everybody who loves the Great Lakes to be a part of the community because it means something.
The Black Rocks, where we were jumping off, has been part of my family tradition since I was a little kid. Jumping, from terra firma into water is just this kind of example of taking the leap of faith.
And whether it's jumping on a fat bike or snowshoeing through the middle of a snowstorm, that's adventurous, and taking a jump off a rock's adventurous. So there's a certain identity there. It's a little Lake Superior, a little crazy.
We strive to make our brewery, Black Rocks on 3rd, the mothership, an experience that people want to remember and return to. And much like the geographical formation, we want to make sure it's something that you come out of there saying, wow, that was really cool, I'm glad I went.
We're one of just a handful of breweries that get to brew with this water over here. We're not running it through a reverse osmosis machine.
We'd certainly be, as a community, very distraught if anything catastrophic happened to our water. It would be, to me, it'd be like putting a dagger through your heart.
The public trust means to me that we all have an obligation to maintain the quality of the natural systems that we all depend on.
We're continuing to educate about the environment, and that's being talked about more now than ever. And I think doing it through business is such a great way, because you can take something like cool that interests a young kid and it gets their attention, but it's also talking about the environment and saying like, hey, it's cool to support this. It's cool to not throw your garbage on the ground. It's cool to get your friends and go do a beach cleanup.
Within Michigan, I think we do have a great system of shops and people and businesses that are really building up how amazing outdoor recreation can be in the Midwest. People are finally realizing how big of an impact it has on our economy here.
It's a huge new set of voices to help us expand the message and the importance of preserving land, preserving access, preserving water quality, and getting people outdoors to appreciate and engage with the natural areas that sustain us.
The fact that there's 250,000 jobs created from this amazing industry, it should force people that are making laws and thinking about the bigger picture that by helping one industry, you could be hurting another. And that's why we need to think a little bit bigger.
I mean, we have a lot of great things. We've got everything inland. We've got forests and rivers and waterfalls and hiking and biking and everything you want to do, but it's all driven by the Great Lakes. There's just no place like it on the planet.